What up, y'all? This is Hip Hop History, and we are back with another recap. This time, we're gonna switch it up a little, and we're gonna do a battle rap movie review. And of course, the movie I'm talking about is Bodied. I highly recommend it. This is a must see for all battle rap fans. And first and foremost, we gotta shout out Alex Larson, better known as Kid Twist, KOTD veteran, Canadian battle rap legend, and he gets this great opportunity to write a movie for battle rap. And of course, what does he do? He extends his hand to the culture and brings in a slew of battle rappers, league owners, personalities, all making cameos throughout the movie. And I felt like that was pretty much my favorite part of it because it added to the authenticity of the movie. If you're a battle rap fan, you see these familiar faces. It's just cool to see. It's great to see people get that opportunity, see them on the big screen. Uh, that's the thing. You can say a lot of bad things about battle rap fans and so-called supporters, but we do, celebrate people's success. And I know, I couldn't have been the only one that was happy to see just so many different things. One cool thing you get to see Loaded Lux and Hollow the Don team up, do a 2-on-2. Wasn't too crazy about the 2-on-2, but regardless, that was like pretty cool to see. And I gotta say this, I watched the movie twice, so first time I probably enjoyed it more than the second time, but it's good, and I try to keep it from a perspective that this movie needs to be accessible to the world, and in order to do that, you gotta sort of have this storyline that is relatable to everybody, and also you can't make it like just a battle rap event. Otherwise, you're just gonna throw a battle rap event. That wouldn't even be a movie. But that's a lot of how this movie is. So he's got to walk that fine line between having it about battle rap and and at times like kind of getting corny. The storyline, there's a lot of corny moments that are gonna just bother you as a fan of battle rap. And it's also interesting, like in my own mind I was thinking to myself, like this movie, it's from the perspective of Kid Twist in a lot of ways, I would think, just from the fact of how much this main character, Adam, he finds himself in these situations. He's at like dinner parties with Ivy Leaguers, and he's got to explain to them, what battle rap is and kind of defend it in a lot of ways. Same thing with his girlfriend, who's sort of a very sensitive feminist. So that's the this movie is just as much about like political correctness and cultural sensitivity as it is about battle rap. And I hate that world. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in, but I'm not in that world. Like I'm not in college, the campus life, and all these people who, when you're that age, I guess you feel really strongly about things, and you don't see like how corny you look. So throughout this movie, like they're poking fun at that, like the whole SJW type of you know crowd and vibe, but they're also kind of adding legitimacy to it by having the open discussion. And I guess like the theme in the movie is sort of okay, battle rap is very offensive, is very, you could say, ignorant, insensitive in a lot of ways, but it's not phony. Anything goes. There's camaraderie. Like hip hop in general, nothing in the world has brought together races, like different races. Genders not as much, but I'd say races for sure as hip hop. Like hip hop has been, open arms from day one. If you got skills, if you could spit, you're accepted. And a lot of times, with battles, people get cool after battles. It's the same way with fights. Like sometimes you fight someone, they might end up becoming your best friend because I don't know, there's something to that for whatever reason. But you go into the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and it's this campus life and all these people that are just being so phony. They're all kind of policing themselves. It's like the greatest fear is to be labeled a racist. So everyone is so cautious about what they say and do, and in doing so, they're just being really, really phony. And that's basically kind of what the world is right now. It's like one big witch hunt to point the finger at somebody else. Everybody kind of acts like they're perfect, and the second they see something that's labeled, wrong, in this world, everyone just jumps on them. There's no redemption and all that. So it's sort of showing like how phony that world is, and how real battle rap is. And uh, you know, I get it. I get it in a lot of ways, but at the same time, that's the perspective of the movie is I don't know. For me, it's like, why does it always got to be, this story? This is different from 8 Mile, but again, it's like, all right, the white kid and his dilemma, and wow, what an awful reality. He has to explain, you know, stuff to people who are homophobic or like over the top sensitive, and is that really the plight of the white man trying to defend himself from being labeled a racist? And I guess it kind of is in a lot of ways, but what does that have to do with battle rap? Like, can we get a movie of a black kid, Hispanic, whoever, battle rapping, and having fun? Like, there wasn't a lot of fun in this movie. It was just stress, all around. And I don't know, it is what it is. But again, I watch stuff like this, and I take it all with a grain of salt. I think there was so many great things though involved in this movie, and a lot of things that Kid Twist did that he probably pulled from personal experience that made this movie as good as it was. So a lot of details, like little things, like you'll see a lot of emphasis on the water bottle, which is hilarious, because battle rap, that it just goes hand in hand, while the person's performing. But like from a MC's perspective and a battle rapper's perspective, you get to see so much, in the ring and outside the ring, from creating your name, researching your opponent, the going over your bars. I love that, the way they did that in the movie. Where basically the battle rapper will be there and you just hear him in his mind just going over things. The moments with rebuttaling, mid battle, you see the battler kind of latch onto something and try to flip it. They also touched on like culture vultures, which I thought was great. People who jump into the culture and figure, okay, I can make some money off this. Let me just throw an event. I'll get names, throw a lot of money at these people, but it's not something that the culture really respects or will come out for, and we've seen that happen time and time again. So I thought that was pretty funny, and I actually loved that scene. So like the structure of the movie was basically, I think it was like 4 sections of battle rap events, and sandwiched in between all this SJW stuff, that was being dealt with on the side, along with like each character's sort of storyline and what they were dealing with in their own personal lives. So I like the way they broke it up. So it starts off in the ring, great, and that's kind of when all right, this is good. It's Big T versus one of the main characters, Ben Grimm, and they get it in. I think they go around, and from there, they start developing the characters and everything. One thing, there's a lot of like unrealistic stuff too. One of the other main characters, Adam, is of course the white kid, and his transformation into a battle rapper was just so fast and so unrealistic. Charron pops up. This is probably the cringiest scene in the whole movie, but I think his name was Billy Pistols, and he's out in the parking lot. He's trying to go at it with this dude Ben. Ben relays it to Adam, who he never battled in his life. He's a fan, and out of nowhere he just comes out. He's spitting these intricate bars and very unbelievable, but at the same time, it's a movie, so it's gonna be some level of fantasy. It's gonna be a lot of levels of exaggeration too, which is one of the things that I also did not like about this movie. All the characters, they were so over the top offended by everything, and I get it, that there's definitely, I guess they had to do it that way to try to prove their points. But it gets annoying at times. It's like, wow, Are there any normal people out there? Were there any normal conversations that went on, or was it all just sort of like just really over the top, you know, offended people? I know my world that I live in, I don't live it like that. Everyone that I know is pretty cool, down to earth. We laugh, we joke, we have fun. All this stuff, I don't know. I know it goes on in the world, but man, it's just also so weird because battle rap is not, sensitive. So it's the complete opposite. So if you go into it as a battle rap fan, expecting a movie about battle rap, you're gonna get a lot of that opposite, side of things that we're probably so into battle rap because we're so not like that. So, to be entrenched in that world for 2 hours, it's a little annoying, after a while, but it is what it is. And all in all, I did think the movie was great. There's a lot of slick, like clever stuff that Kid Swiss did, and I guess everybody that worked on it. Where there's a lot of references to older battles. There's a lot of characters too that you could tell are sort of based loosely on characters. Uh, you had Pat Stay in there, playing the racist, but his angle was sort of like I'm just, all about racial equality. Like if I could, crack jokes on Asians and this and that, why couldn't I do it with blacks? And it's funny because I was like, that's probably Cadillac Ron. That's kind of what he stood for, and he was respected for it. So, you got Lux who was like, oh, I love this dude, about Pat Stay, and a lot of people felt the same way about Caddy, and I get it. So I like that though. There's definitely like a lot of parallels between reality and this script. Then you got Dizaster and his character. This is like, it's just so weird because the character itself would sort of be based on math, you would think, back in the day, until Diz swung on him. So I don't know. I'm just watching this. It's so weird to me because it's like if I'm math, I would really feel some type of way about this movie. They're basically reenacting his fight with Diz, and and then you got Diz's people in the movie justifying Diz swinging on him. You got Aktive, and he's like, he warned them twice. What is he supposed to do? I don't know, man. That was kind of crazy, but it is what it is. That was definitely a part of battle rap. Um, but again, I try to say like I'm looking at this more and more, thinking like, okay, this is kind of like Kid Twist's perspective on battle rap as a whole, and I guess in his mind is like all battle rappers are phony. It's all just a persona, and I'd say 70, 80% of the time, absolutely, but it's not all, so there's some weird scenes in this. You got Diz toting guns. He has everyone at his crib for like an after party, and everyone's strapped. And instead of dealing with someone fucking his girl, like you would think, he challenges him to a rap battle, and just kind of confirming like all battle rappers are clowns, but they're not. Not all of them are, and they also, Dumbfounded. I thought Dumbfounded was great in this, and I felt like he probably had the best rapping moments. Two scenes I think in particular, but he was definitely going in. And Dumbfounded is so accessible, so I think that's why it worked so well with him. His style could really appeal to the masses. It's it's great writing, very, very funny, and it's easy to understand and digest. So, I thought his contribution in the movie was great. There's also a funny scene, which is why I mentioned him in the first place. But they go to, it's basically like some Japanese food place, and Dumbfounded works there. So you got that. There's like a lot of elements in battle rap that, as fans, you probably don't think about what the battle rapper is going through. So there's that, like, oh, look, this dude just has some regular job. Of course, the two main characters, Adam and Ben, they end up battling each other. And then you have that struggle of two friends that battle, and how personal is too personal, lines getting crossed. All very, very interesting, and something that battle rappers definitely deal with, again, if the bag is worth it, I'll do it. And we see that a lot. We've seen that a lot, and it can make for classic battles. So, and now onto some more negative. I feel like I'm balancing this out pretty well because I did like the movie, but I felt like there's a lot of stuff that took away from it where I felt like they thought they were enhancing it. But there's the battle scene towards the end. Pretty much the last half hour of the movie is a whole event, and they take you through battle by battle, which I thought was really cool. But at the same time, they have this like dramatic music in the background while they're rapping, and it really takes away from it. This is like one of those things that doesn't give you that feel. And there were a lot of things in this movie that didn't give me that feel. So if you're going into this expecting like a URL-ish kind of smack type of vibe, it is not that type of movie. It's more grind timey, but I wouldn't even say all the way grind time. Like I got the feel of sort of kind of like a KOTD event that booked a lot of URL battlers, but doesn't have that URL feel. You know what I mean? So and with the twist of like wilding out, with a lot of like over the top like reactions to one-liners, uh but at the same time it is what it is. It is a movie, and see, I'm saying what I'm saying, but at the same time someone who's not into battle rap might love that. They might need that in a movie, like to reach those peaks, of moments of drama and emotion and stuff like that. For me, I'm like, man, listen, I could do without this, but it is what it is. And speaking of that scene, like there's a lot of corny stuff in this movie, and it was definitely towards the end. Basically, Diz ends up battling Adam, one of the main characters, and Diz punches him, and this dude rebuttals getting punched. And battle rap 101, like if you haven't learned this by now, don't rebuttal getting punched. If you get punched, I'm not gonna say hit him back. Maybe I will. Yeah, it's like don't someone knocks your tooth out, you go out swinging. But if you don't want to for the culture, just stop rapping. Like don't rebuttal it. I've never seen that go well. Maybe like Scribble Jam days or whatever, they might go crazy for that. Oh, he got punched and he's still rapping. But nah, don't do that. So that was probably the worst part of the movie for me because that was the end. And but it is what it is. It is a movie, and yeah, I get it. You got to appeal to the masses, so people will love that. But back to some things that I loved. I loved the fact that there was so much, terminology that we use in battle rap that was used in the movie, and that's something that, on the one hand, you would think it wouldn't be accessible to the world, but at the same time, those kind of things, they make people interested. They want to know more. So this is great in that sense, where I feel like a lot of people would be more interested in battle rap. You'll have the people that will be interested on a level where they'll look up battles, they'll look into the people that are in the movie, and then you got the other people that are just gonna watch this and treat it like they're watching, animals in the zoo. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I get that vibe from like a lot of the reviews that I see, and it's like, you don't know anything about this culture. And at the same time, I wonder too, do we really want so many people in it that don't get it and will just, ruin it, really? I don't know. Battle rap does belong in the basement, and that's the thing for this movie. I didn't really get that vibe for a lot of the battles. I know that's what they were going for, but the cinematography was amazing. But you look at like the scenes themselves, and it is very like Eminem-ish. Like you could tell it's like any of those venues could have been like a shady cipher or something like that. That's just the look of it. But it is what it is. It looked great, and there was just a lot of little things too. Editing that I thought was done really really well. Um, you also had every time there was a battle, they'd put the names across the screen, so and so versus so and so. that worked really, really well. And at a few times, they'd pull that out as a joke at times when it wasn't really a battle, and I thought that was hilarious. A lot of the characters too, you got the fake Lush one, and man, that dude should win a an award for that. He did Lush so well that it was too funny. And across the board, you got battle rappers acting and actors battle rapping, and I felt like they all did a great job for the most part. Like the battles towards the end, I don't know, they got really corny to me, but I felt like they executed it pretty well. It's not easy to be a battle rapper, or everyone would be, in running for the goat or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So to the actors, you got to give them credit. They came up with their own styles, each one of them, and it takes a lot to really learn how to deliver bars. And felt like they all did really well, and they were all very different. You could see them pulling in influences. I'm sure they researched and they watched battles, but I felt like they had their own style for the most part. Now for the battle rappers acting, I thought they all did great too, and it was all kept uh, at like a good level. Only a few of them had a lot of lines, so like I think it was brilliant the way they made it work. It wouldn't make sense to have all these people whose characters aren't developed showing up and saying a lot. Like there's nothing really to say. There'd be a few people that would pop up like, "Hey, great battle, this and that." But for the battle rap fan, that means a lot to see those people in the movie, and for the battle rappers themselves. So I thought that was all done perfectly. At times it's a little weird. Like you have Smack come up and he's like, "Yo," he says something like, "You're a legend," or legends recognize legends, or something like that. But like as a viewer, you don't even know who that is. So but I like that. There's a lot of little things that like battle rapper will get, and not the whole world. And then maybe one day someone will take it upon themselves to look more into it, and then they'll get into it, and it'll all make sense. But and then Norbes too. Yeah, they didn't even give him a line. And Norbes, how did we go all this time? I never knew your name was Dagoberto Velez. Why would you call yourself Norbes when you got such a cool real name? I don't know why that name is funny to me, but I was dying laughing looking at the credits rolling at the end. And for the most part, the rest of the people, I knew their names and stuff, and some of them elected not to put their names. So either way, whatever. But a lot of little stuff. I like that Poison Pen in the ring. You hear him reacting, a couple like natural reactions that he'll do in real battles. You had Charlamagne in it, and he was kind of like Queen's Flippish, like a couple of funny ad libs while the battle was going on. I felt like that was probably what that was based on. Yeah, the dude that was all tatted up back in the old grind time events. I remember he used to say he was in flip mode. I don't know who he was, but I think he was in this movie. And you had Andy Milonakis. I don't know if he was a host for the Culture Vulture or if he was the Culture Vulture, but that was pretty funny seeing him in it. A lot of little cameos. It was done really well. Like the only thing that was missing was probably like the damn guy from Grizzlemania, and but who knows where he is? He's probably in Philly right now with Ines or something. Uh, and what else? There's so much to talk about that I know I'm overlooking a lot of things. Well, you had also Adam's father, who I thought was great. I thought he played that role really well, and he's basically his dad, but also a college professor. So he's one of these dudes he's cool, but like he kind of thinks he's cooler than he is, and I guess grew up like a hip hop head, and then now he's all grown up and he's trying to take his knowledge and like apply it to his job. So he's the cool teacher that'll talk about the LL and cannabis beef, but try to get you thinking. I don't know, that was hilarious though, because I've seen people like that in real life, and I thought that was just done really well. But All in all, I thought it was a great watch. I'll put it that way. And I think it was a great movie. Like the thing is Hollywood could never really create something like this. It would have to come from the culture, and I felt like this was as close to it being authentic as it could be. Um, and with it being interesting, so all that stuff that I was talking about, like political correctness and the sensitivity and all that stuff, you know, I feel like that'll draw in the average viewer, that's not into battle rap. A lot of buzzwords, black splaining and man, I can't even remember, but there's so many of those like little words, trigger and shaming and I don't know, people are interested in that in this culture of like coming up with cute, corny words to I don't know describe how they're being victimized. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just the culture we live in right now. The whole Me Too thing, and that's another thing too. They tried to show you sort of like the female aspect too, which I thought was pretty cool. From both the battler and I guess from people outside looking in. But I know the girl who Diz calls Biggie Minaj. She was talking about like her struggles and basically like it sucks that like dudes will can get groupies, but when a girl says she's a battle rapper, like dudes don't want anything to do with them. So I thought that was pretty funny. Her and Dumbfounded also kind of went back and forth as far as like predictable angles and you know how the crowd eats it up. So you got to kind of pander to the crowd at times, but it, it's it's embarrassing like to them that people will react to this stuff and it works every time. So basically they had like an interesting conversation about how you could flip it to your own advantage and then they end up having to face each other in the ring and you see how that works out. They kind of work together in that battle. Again, and that's funny too cuz in battle rap, there's so many times where you're like did these two write together? So this was one of those moments where it was pretty clear they probably did, and it worked out, for the best. So trying to think what else. There was so much in this movie. There was a funny scene too with you know, this dude leaves the venue, Adam, and people are running up on him to give him props, but he's like scared every time. Philly Swain, no can do. Like people are just coming out of nowhere and telling him how well he did. But and this dude's terrified because I guess it's a black person coming up to him. I don't know. There's a lot of moments in this movie. Like I said, I don't fully get like what the angle was on that, and I wonder if it's just that this was made from the perspective of a Canadian and his, no offense to Canada, but like maybe like a suburban, early KOTD style, like WRC type of battle rapper or like Scribble Jamish type of dude, and what he went through and saw and experienced. You know what I mean? It's definitely not from a normal dude, I guess. Like most people in hip hop who kind of like grow up in the hood and embrace uh, the culture from not just having that like internal rhythm and just loving it, but also like growing up in it and also it being sort of a way out, like having that talent and having that dream to make something of yourself through something you love, but not so much like, yeah, here's this little hobby that I could either do or not. It doesn't matter either way, whatever, Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a conversation for another day, but it is what it is. I'm just saying like what's up with the movie where it isn't always this, the goofy looking white kid who, you know, I don't know, out raps all the black guys. I don't really know how else to put it, but I feel like we've seen that before. But it is what it is, and I'm not comparing it to 8 Mile either. I did that a few times just for like a reference point. But it's kind of hard not to. It is a movie about battle rap, and it was very, very different from 8 Mile, and I felt like it was a lot more authentic. 8 Mile, of course, from the mind of Eminem, and his era of battle rap, it was a very different era. So it was all freestyle. It was all short rounds. Um, different. And of course, his life or whatever, I guess he grew up in the slums, but it was like the trailer park slums. So very different, from the main character, Adam, who he's going to Berkeley and he's, you know, well off. I don't know. And yeah, kind of surprised by everything. Everybody's just over the top aggressive about their sensitivity, and everyone has these assumptions that of course are wrong every last time. So the black guy has a job in video games, and that's shocking. He went to college, that's shocking. It's just over the top. A lot of it, yeah, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of the movie Crash, and they actually made a reference to it too, where like the underlying theme was sort of like your assumptions are always wrong, but then sometimes they're not, whatever. Yeah, it's a, I don't know, that's a whole other story. But listen, we hit a half hour, so I should wrap this up. All I'm gonna say is, overall, I think it's great. I thought it was a great effort. It's great to see the culture get together too to create something, and it was better than anything Hollywood could put together, because they just don't know the culture. So I give Kid Twist all the credit in the world. I thought the script was genuinely really funny too. Like, not a lot of the dialogue was hilarious. There was a lot of good moments in there outside of the battle rap, like just from the dialogue itself. And that's not easy to do. Kid Twist also, he originally wrote everyone's battle bars. So he had to write it in so many different styles. Like, can you imagine trying to write for Madness and then Loaded Lux? He said eventually everybody rewrote. They wanted to rewrite their verses, so that probably helped too, because you would rather that than anything else. And shout out to Madness too for getting that whack ass "I'm Classy" song throughout the movie. They played that a couple of different times, if I remember correctly, and I laughed every last time. That was hilarious. But yeah, I think that's about it. Go see it and let me know what you think. I mainly made this video because I wanted to talk about the movie, and I don't really know too many people that are into battle rap outside of the internet. So I got to talk to y'all, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts were. Like I always say, feel free, go in on me. If you disagree, by all means. If you saw things a different way, let's talk about it. So let me know what you think, and let me know what you thought about the movie overall. What are your favorite parts? What did you think you could have done without? Because I definitely had like mixed feelings throughout. But overall, I think it was a great effort, and I think everyone's pretty happy with the outcome. So shout out to Kid Twist, shout out to everybody who appeared in the movie, and from the battle rappers to the actors. Great job, and who knows, maybe we'll see a sequel one day. So, all right, that's it for today. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.